The Australian and Japanese Navy joined the U.S. Navy to save the Philippines after China harassed. Warships from the United States, Australia, and Japan have held joint drills in the South China Sea in defiance of Beijing, which claims sovereignty over virtually the entire strategic waterway. The U.S. 7th Fleet, that oversees most U.S. Navy operations in the region, said the guided missile destroyer USS John Finn and combat ship USS Gabrielle Giffords carried out operations with Navy ships from Japan and Australia on Wednesday and Thursday. There was no word on whether the exercises were conducted close to islands and shoals claimed by Beijing, which has built military bases on at least 7 islands by piling concrete and sand on top of coral atolls. Beijing objects strongly to foreign naval operations in the area, saying historical records prove it belongs to China. Each year, an estimated $5 trillion in international commerce passes through the South China Sea, which also holds vital fish stocks and underwater mineral resources. The U.S. takes no formal stand on sovereignty in the area, but rejects China's claims, partly based on a 2016 ruling by a United Nations-backed court in The Hague. There was no immediate reaction to the exercises from China's defense ministry. This multinational sale fortifies our relationship between the U.S., Japan, and Australian allies, Samber Irvin Taylor, John Finn's commanding officer, said in a statement from the 7th Fleet. "We promote transparency, rule of law, freedom of navigation, and all principles that underscore security and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific." Australian Commodore Jonathan Lay said in the statement that such deployments are crucial for enhancing mutual understanding and our ability to operate together. The U.S., Australia, and Japan also operate together in a strategic alliance known as the Quad that also includes India, a Chinese rival in Asia. The Quad has frequently accused China of flexing its military muscles in the South China Sea and aggressively pushing its maritime territorial claims. Beijing maintains that its military is purely defensive and protects its sovereign rights and calls the Quad an attempt to contain its economic growth and influence. The navies of the 4 countries regularly hold drills seen as part of an initiative to counter China's growing assertiveness in the Pacific and Indian Oceans and waters surrounding Taiwan. China and Japan also claim exclusive ownership over an uninhabited island group in the East China Sea controlled by Tokyo, with China routinely dispatching ships and planes to the area. China applies similar tactics with Taiwan, a self-governing island republic of 23 million that it claims as its own territory, to be conquered by force if necessary. Taiwan's defense ministry said Thursday it had detected 4 Chinese ships operating in the area, and that it had, as usual, upgraded security ahead of the Lunar New Year holiday starting at the end of the week. Security engagements between the treaty allies have soared in the past year, at a time of tension in the South China Sea, where the Philippines and China have traded blame over a spate of run-ins over territory. It was the 3rd time the Philippines and former colonial ruler the United States have held joint exercises in the South China Sea since November last year, moves that have frustrated Beijing, which objects to what it sees as U.S. interference in its backyard. It demonstrates our commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific and foster close cooperation towards further enhancing our maritime capabilities, Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief Romeo Brawner said in a statement. China claims sovereignty over almost the entire South China Sea, a conduit for more than $3 trillion of commercial shipping annually, including parts of the exclusive economic zones of the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. It has policed those claims with a vast Coast Guard fleet that the Philippines has accused of hostile intentions and actions that are against international law. China says it is protecting its territory. The American presence in the Philippine archipelago is more restricted than in the case of Japan, but the 2 neighbors' policy responses to the challenges they face are remarkably similar. In 2016, Japan signed a pact with the Philippines to supply military hardware, a move that did not go down well in China. Beijing's irritation was similar when Japan decided to send weapons to Ukraine after the February 2022 full-scale Russian invasion of that country. Tokyo has been in a decades-long dispute with Moscow over the Kuril Islands, administered by Russia since 1945. This background matters as geopolitical pressure mounts on Tokyo to become more involved in the defense of the Western-led international order and help contain the aspiring Chinese superpower. The latest developments in the Philippines-Japan relationship are meant to serve this purpose. Let us begin by looking closer at Japan's problem.